My name is Jeremiah. I'm 28, born and raised in Vancouver. I have been a local pastor for the last several years in the city. I'm also studying. I'm in school doing my master's in Christian studies. And right now, I'm in a season of church planting. The idea to plant an autonomous church, in contrast to being like a campus pastor, that wasn't as clear before, but it definitely, after that course in 2015, just continued to grow. And at that time, I was at an amazing church. I was at Broadway Church, and I grew up there, and I was on staff, youth pastor. There was just something about, like, whether it's just the Holy Spirit of feeling like I am called to start a new community of Christ followers in the city with like a specific culture, a specific ethos of how we're going to practice the way of Jesus. I mean, it was a tough decision to leave because Broadway was my home. But when I left in, I think it was the beginning of 2019, God's just really refined that vision of teaching me a lot of things and the friends and people around me to plant a church. And right now we really do feel particularly burdened to reach those that have are disenchanted with faith and religion. Millennials and Gen Z, as we know right now, it's such a turbulent culture. And we obviously want to be an intergenerational church with families and people of all ages, but we do really feel burdened to reach those that are upset with the church, have been hurt by the church. And that's kind of what led us on this path to prepare and plant a new church. The church plant is going to be called Passion Church. And our vision statement is for the people of Metro Vancouver. And we added Metro into that statement for a specific reason. And my heart for the other cities and municipalities has grown. For us as a community, we feel uniquely called to plant neighborhood churches in different communities. So as we look to plant our first Sunday gathering in Mount Pleasant, the vision is to plant more neighborhood churches. For us as a community, we are relearning the ways of Jesus, especially being in like a post-truth culture for us in Canada anyways, in Vancouver, to double down on what it means to actually like follow Jesus. I mean, he calls us to pick up our cross and follow him. And that's the path of self-denial. It's laying down our opinions, it's laying down our preferences, and ultimately laying down our lives. As people hear what's happening with our church, Passion Church, and they're thinking and praying through how to partner and support us, there's a few ways to do that. I think the first and foremost is obviously prayer. And even in the season right now, like we've been meeting, we've been kind of preparing, and we haven't even started fundraising yet, but God's provided just absolutely crazy things for us already. A place to meet, just a kind pastor that's letting us use their space, or people like donating things for us to use and those things. And so I know that is because of God's sovereignty and provision, but because our community and people around me are supporting us in prayer. And as I'm relearning my faith all over again, it seems, where I have almost like no choice but to trust in God and offer my worship and prayer to him. Like I've just been relearning how important prayer is. And so whether that's people like being part of like a prayer newsletter and like being in the loop of what our needs are, and just to like pray even for me, pray for our team, pray for our church, pray for provision. So that would be obviously like the first and foremost ask. And for those that feel uniquely burdened to like help financially, I mean, that's a huge one. Church planting is really expensive. There's fundraising for capital assets, for rent in Vancouver, a salary hopefully one day for me and for, future people. And so there's like a lot of costs involved. And so if people feel uniquely burdened to like help us in that way, like we're a church plant and we need finances. And so we can only move at the speed of obviously relationship, our commitment, but also our giving. And the last, I think, way for people to support is honestly just, if you're a friend or someone, just even receiving a bit of encouragement along the journey. It's definitely so life-giving, but really challenging at times. And so honestly, just like a meal, or not that I'm asking you to pay or anything, but just encouragement, just like hanging out, I think is important even for me as a church planter. Is I know I'm not in it alone, but at times it can be challenging. My biggest hope is that, like every other church, that people would experience the person and love of Jesus Christ. And that's the whole reason we're doing this, is that people that are far from God, people that may never step into a church building, would have a real interaction with a follower of Jesus, with a Christian that just profoundly impacts them, whether it's at the pub or in the workplace. That how we as Christians live our lives would have a profound impact on someone. And I'm really looking forward to the day where I begin to hear people's stories of how they've come to know the person of Jesus through maybe a person part of our community, or whatever the case is. I'm really looking forward to hearing some of the stories of how the Holy Spirit is moving in Metro Vancouver.